Now, I want to go back a little bit and talk about a man that very few of us have read anything about. During the days of Benjamin Strong, when he was the first Federal Reserve chairman, the first Federal Reserve president of the New York branch, there was a very powerful Irish Roman Catholic, Irish American, we have to hyphenate these words, I'm sorry. We got African American, every other kind of American, we're going to call them Irish American too, so everybody knows they're white. And this guy's name is Thomas Fortune Ryan, and you can read about him in a book called Real Lace, America's Irish Rich by Stephen Birmingham. And in this tremendous book, on page 152, we read of Thomas Fortune Ryan. Ryan had ordered Baruch to get Duke, and at one point became so alarmed at the possibility that he would actually succeed that he rushed into Baruch's office saying, "I want to annoy them, not ruin them." But I knew he was pleased, Baruch commented. The result of the tobacco war, with stocks in the various companies being driven up and down by the two opponents and their hired manipulators, was that both Duke and Ryan ended up making huge profits, and both men were pleased. Ryan's operations went on to extend into coke, coal, oil, lead, and typewriters, namely Royal typewriters. I had one of those once. His activities spread from New York City to Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia, and Illinois, and into the Belgian Congo, where he was asked to reorganize the diamond mines by none other than King Leopold of Belgium himself. And remembering that King Leopold II of Belgium organized the mutual annihilation of 10 million Belgian Congolese blacks. Hey, you black folks, you might be listening. That shows you how much the papacy loves you. They love to kill you. And King Leopold II is a classic example of this. And there's a book you need to read called King Leopold's Ghost. It tells of this mass murder of over 10 million blacks in the Belgian Congo. It goes on here on page 152. Ryan had ordered Baruch to get Duke, and at one point became so alarmed at the possibility that he would actually succeed that I already read that, pardon me. Page 153. Thomas Fortune Ryan, at the age of 54, was worth $50 million. A few years later, he was worth $100 million. When he died, by the way, in 1928, he had $200 million, silver dollars, gold dollars, before they were ever confiscated, that he willed to his family. Thomas Fortune Ryan was one of the 10 wealthiest men in this country, and we never hear about him. Thomas Fortune Ryan was the master of Bernard Baruch. And it was Bernard Baruch that advised Woodrow Wilson to sign the Federal Reserve Act on December 23, 1913, at the behest of his massa, Thomas Fortune Ryan. Again, Bernard Baruch encouraged, advised Woodrow Wilson, the traitor, to sign into law 2 days before Christmas the Federal Reserve Act at the behest and order of Thomas Fortune Ryan. That Jew, Bernard Baruch, that Hofjuden for the Pope, was doing exactly what his Irish Catholic master told him to do. So that's real ace. Now, we've touched Bernard Baruch, Corrigan. Now that's the portion I have today on the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank is run by the Pope for the benefit of the Pope to restore his New World Order, which is nothing more than a reversion back to the Pope's Dark Ages, in the words of Aleister Crowley, that he was for a feudal government run by initiated nobles. And that's exactly what we have now. The New World Order is the Pope's Dark Ages restored, overseen and run by high-level Freemasons, Knights of Malta, and any other order, the Constantinian Order, the Knights of St. Grady, all by initiated nobles. And those of us that were not in the club were nothing. As much as I can't stand the filthy mouth of George Carlin and all the profanity that he used, that summation that he gave that one night was absolutely right on target. He could have only improved it if he would have said, and they are the Pope's Roman hierarchy overseen by the Jesuit order. But that would have got him killed within 24 hours. So the Federal Reserve Bank is run by Rome. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank is, and going back to our banking list here, the Federal Reserve Bank is going to give $25 billion with this bailout to the Bank of America. Well, the one who runs the Bank of America, or is the head, is another white Gentile by the name of Kenneth Lewis. Kenneth Lewis. The Bank of America was started by the Jesuits, and as I touched on yesterday, 51% of the stock back in 1983 was owned by the Jesuit order. And the buyout of Countrywide Financial was orchestrated through two Roman Catholics, because the head of Countrywide at the time was Angelo Mazzilio. And Angelo Mazzilio is a Roman Catholic Italian American. That's what they call themselves, Italian Americans. They can't be called Americans now, you know. You got to be, if you're Roman Catholic, you got to hyphenate your race. I can't call myself a Swedish American or an English American or a Welsh American. You have to call yourself an Irish American, right? That means you're Catholic. I watched the Philadelphia parade on Columbus Day, and you got all those Italian Catholics, Italian Americans waving their Italian flag. If you love Italy so much, go back to Italy. If you love Puerto Rico so much, go back to Puerto Rico. If you love Mexico so much, go back to Mexico. Don't wave that stinking flag in my face. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with America. And it's an abomination. And it ought to be illegal. Continuing on now. We have collusion between that Jesuit-trained Chris Dodd and as a friend of Angelo, when he got a sweetheart deal, and McCain's even been talking about that. But you see, McCain and Chris Dodd are good brother Jesuit coadjutors. So Angelo Mazzilio and Kenneth D. Lewis worked together, I believe in collusion, to bring about that sweetheart deal when they bought up Countrywide mortgages. So now the Jesuits own and control all those mortgages through their Bank of America. Don't you like it now? Isn't that just wonderful that they control all this real estate? Well, on top of that, they also purchased Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch was known as the Catholic house on Wall Street up until 1970. Isn't it interesting that the Bank of America would bail out Merrill Lynch, but they wouldn't bail out Lehman Brothers? Because, you see, Lehman Brothers was run by a Jew, even though he was serving the Pope, but there were many Jewish holdings within Lehman Brothers. And so there are many financially broken Jews now as a result of the crash of Lehman Brothers. And that's just what the Jesuits wanted. Lehman Brothers was the Jewish house. Merrill Lynch was the Catholic house. They saved the Catholic house and allowed the Jewish house to go down. What is this? It's the Council of Trent on Wall Street. Continuing. They also, John A. Thain now is, they purchased not only Merrill Lynch, they purchased Nations Bank in 1998, Fleet Boston in 2004, MBNA in 2005, LaSalle Bank in 2007. The Jesuits, through their Bank of America, have been buying up everything. And the two big houses allowed to fail, Lehman Brothers, run by a Jew, Richard Fuld, and the other one, a bank, Washington Mutual, run by another Jew, Alan H. Fishman. And so now the Jesuits, they can begin to blame certain Jews for this whole collapse. Isn't that nice? Do you see how they work, my white brothers? Only a brilliant, devious white mind can work like this. That's why it takes righteous white men to resist these wicked, sinful white men. Will you join me? You trust the Lord? Okay, now, that's Bank of America. That's the fourth big bank. The fifth one is Citigroup. Citigroup was built by a Jew, Sanford I. Wheel. But I believe it was taken over by the Knights in 2002. Today it's headed by a German British citizen. He has a dual citizenship in Germany and England. And it's Sir Winfried Franz Wilken Bischoff. Sir Bischoff.